Alright everybody, today I'm going to show you about this. Never, ever tamper with fire alarm equipment. Number 1 is illegal. Number 2, you might get fined and arrested by the police. And number 3, never, if you're a 9-year-old who pulled a fire alarm in elementary school, you might get grounded by your parents and get stuff taken away from you, so as electronics. So, number 4, I'm gonna warn you. Never, if you pull that fire alarm, if you're let's say if you're 19 or 20 or 21 or 23 or older, you might get fined and arrested. Or so make sure to use that, make sure to use, so headphone users, you're under arrest for pulling that fire alarm. That's called the headphone users if you pulled the fire alarm. So, but never ever mess with unless there's a real fire. So don't do something like this. That thing will set the alarm off when you pull that. And let's say do not change the pull station to this old pull station. This is newer and you leave it alone. Okay? So never take and one more thing. Never take the screw off the alarm too. If you take that thing off, you might get into trouble. And as you can see, when you see that thing, if you see that button, when you open up the pull station, if you key activated it, the alarm was set. It will set the alarm on. It will set the alarm off when you key activated it. So, because of that, you leave the fire alarm alone. So let's say if you're someone who did it, but this is your final warning. Never pull that fire alarm because there's no fire, or else you might get arrested by the police. Let's say you can't destroy the pull station. If you break that fire alarm, you're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for the fire alarm. When you break the fire alarm, you have to replace it, and the owner would get mad at you if you break it. So, never ever mess with these stuff unless there's a real fire, or unless there's a real actual emergency. So when there's an actual emergency, you can go ahead and pull this, but these are never ever messed with unless there's a real fire. So yeah, but never do something like this. So this is called the fire alarm. If it's dual action, leave it alone. If there's single action, also leave it alone. So these are never ever messed with unless there's a fire. Now there's a fire, by all means, no pulling the fire alarm. So when it says pull down, you leave it alone. Don't pull the handle down. Never take the handle off of it. You leave the fire alarm the way it is. Just like something as simplex, you should not ever mess with this. Never mess with the back box. Never mess with the fire alarm as well. At some days, at my elementary school, some kid pulled the fire alarm. And as you can see, I just panicked because someone pulled the fire alarm at my elementary school. And as you can see, the firefighters came to the school, right? And must be another emergency somewhere else. It must be in the cafeteria. So, and also that the simplex speaker strobes will say, "This is the fire alarm. Please leave the exit and please watch the nearest exit and leave the building." So these are never ever messed with unless there's a real actual emergency. So never pull this alarm. It's categorically a crime. So if you pull that fire alarm, you might get arrested by the police. Just like calling 911. When you pull that fire alarm because there's no fire, you're going to be responsible who pulled the fire alarm, and you're going to get arrested by the police. and you're gonna pay $1 fine for pulling the fire alarm. So these are never ever messed with unless there's an actual fire. Don't do something like this. If you pull this thing a million times, you might get arrested by the police. So in a hotel, you guys know Leland? Leland, okay, Leland pulled the fire alarm at school and the hotel together. And because he pulled this is the second time that Leland does this. So first he pulled the fire alarm, and second he pulled the fire alarm at school. So these are our two situations what happened. The fire alarm went off in the hotel because Leland pulled the fire alarm. Because when Leland pulled the fire alarm at school, he might get expelled from school and suspended. In that time, his dad grounded him with no Xbox, no computer, and no phone, Don't do something like this, So if you pull that fire alarm a million times, it has to stop. Yeah, pulling that fire alarm is a crime. Because let's say if you pull the fire alarm in the library, you might get arrested by the cops as well. Just like pulling down the police alarm. And it's Sunday, and you guys know that better. Once again, so this video is not a joke. So these pull stations are life safety devices. It will never be tampered with. So this thing is not going to be tampered, not to be played with. And if you keep doing it for a prank, it's not funny at all. Okay? So you have to watch this video about never ever pull the fire alarm. Because there's no fire if you do that, so. So never key activate and do something like this, Doing that can set the alarm off. If you pull that fire alarm, you could get into serious trouble. And because of that, if you pull the fire alarm, you might get fined and arrested, like I just said. So I repeat, watch my god darn video, okay? This video is not a joke at all. Thank you guys for watching.